What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers securing Deandre Ayton was a huge step in the right direction. Finally got a center, at least for now. There is a potential he could leave next year. Keep that in mind. He does have a player option, so Lakers could be right back in this situation next year, but worry about that next year. There is also a version of this where he's our franchise guy. Right, and we have him and Luka for the next 6+ years. I mean, you're talking about the number 1 pick and the number 3 pick. That could be pretty interesting, right? Talk about building blocks for the foreseeable future. But nonetheless, right, you got a guy in Deandre Ayton who could potentially be massive for this team. But what's next, right? What's the next on the agenda for the Lakers? Now, the obvious one is a backup center, right? Whether it's Al Horford or you're trading for a center or whatever. But personally, I would like to see the Lakers kind of go and just get Al Horford as your backup and then go look to make trades and make moves to upgrade the perimeter depth. The biggest need, in my opinion, at this point is defense. Lakers are going to be the best offensive team in basketball. Again, you have Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, DeAndre Ayton, right? If you could turn Rui Hachimura, I would be strongly after, Andrew Wiggins, right? Guys like that. Can you go get 1 or 2 3-and-D guys? Because defense is going to be your biggest concern, right? You got to be able to stop people. Yes, Lakers might score 130 a night, but they're giving up 140. You're losing, right? 131 even. You're losing, right? Lakers especially. I'm not really worried about it during the regular season. During the regular season, Lakers are probably going to win 55 games next year, right? I'm not worried about it then, right? As long as Ayton is half decent, Lakers are probably going to win 55 games. Really, it just comes down to health, right? Knock on wood. But beyond the regular season, it's the postseason. That's where the concern becomes, right? Is okay, well, what do you, when you get to the playoffs and things start tightening up and teams are locking down defensively and you're in this position where, end of games are very tight and very close, right? And you got to kind of try to balance this stuff out and you got to be able to get key stops and you got that's where my concern lies, right? Many of you might remember when, the Rui Hachimura situation, right? When they injected Rui Hachimura into the starting unit. And we were 8-0 with Rui in the starting unit. And I was like, hey, that's great and all, but what happens when we can't stop anybody? My concern is the playoffs, once we get to the playoffs. Right? And people, you're overreacting, Lakers are great, blah, blah. And I said, yes, offensively they are, but defensively, once we get to the playoffs, you're going to have to stop guys. And you saw the Lakers run into Denver twice and Minnesota. They just weren't able to stop guys when they needed to. Right? So defense is going to be very important. Ayton isn't this he's had seasons where he's been good defensively. And if he buys in, I think he'll be at least good defensively. But again, it's Rui, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic. Your best defender is LeBron James again. So that's a problem. So definitely need to solve that defensive element of it. Now, there are a couple guys still on free agency that I'd love to get. I wouldn't even mind taking a flyer on some guys. Talked about Imani Bates, right? Jabari Walker. Can you get kind of long, sizable, versatile, young, athletic kind of wings? Both guys are 6'9" or whatever. Can you get something like that? Then also you look to kind of more veteran guys, right? De'Anthony Melton is a legit 3-and-D type of guard. Malcolm Brogdon. The one issue with Malcolm Brogdon is just his him being healthy and on the basketball court, right? If you can go get somebody like him, that could do wonders for this team, right? You start to piece all this stuff together, and you might be able to carve out a more balanced roster to where you can start balancing things out. But really, it's going to boil down to the trades, right? You're going to have to, you got to get at least one wing, one true defensive wing. I don't think you necessarily have to do it right now. I don't think it's something that they necessarily have to rush to the door and take the first win that's available. Right? That I think you can be a little patient with, especially if you get a couple guys in free agency. Right? If we get a De'Anthony Melton and, like I said, Malcolm Brogdon, right? Guys like that. If you end up doing something like that, I do think you'll be fine because Lakers are going to be very good in the regular season. I'm not worried about them come regular season. Again, it's the playoffs. So I want to see the Lakers address the lack of perimeter defense by playoff time, so by the trade deadline, right? So Lakers want to kind of be patient and wait to see kind of what develops and how things shape up, then fine, I'd be totally okay with that. But to me, I think the clear needs are backup center and then an upgrade at the 3. Ideally, more two-way guys. Love Rui Hachimura. He is fantastic. But it's just you need him less and less now, right? You got a guy in Ayton who could go get you basically all the offensive output that Rui Hachimura provides to that starting unit, right? So now it's like, what do you need? You just need somebody that can defend. And I mean, you might be better off starting Jared Vanderbilt at this point, especially if he's like fully healthy. You have more than enough offense, right? Lakers are going to be terrifying offensively. That's the last thing I'm worried about. But you need somebody that can be that point of attack. You need somebody that can defend the best player on the other team, that can, defend guards and forwards and all that stuff. Like, Lakers are going to have to kind of figure that part of it out. But to me, I think, ideally, I'd like to not trade for a backup center, right? Unless you can get like Nick Richards for like essentially free. If you can get one of these guys for free, there is an argument to be made for Yves Missi, right? Because he's young and could potentially be your franchise guy. And like I mentioned earlier, there is a potential that that Deandre Ayton just leaves next season, right? That some team offers him a bunch of money. I don't know if somebody will. Like, even if he's really good for the Lakers, I think that there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to look at it as like, I think that was just the Lakers situation. Right? Indiana, I imagine, is probably going to address their center position. But I don't know if, like, is Ayton the guy that they're going to want to address him with? Yeah, I know they made the offer for him a couple years ago, but, things changed. That was before, he ended up getting bought out and all that stuff. Like, if they were trying to sign him, it was out of desperation because they lost Miles Turner, right? So those are kind of things. And they didn't want to pay Miles Turner, so they're going to pay DeAndre Ayton a bunch of money when they could have just paid Miles Turner $25 million a year. They're going to give DeAndre Ayton $25 million a year? Like, that would just be foolishness at that point, right? So I'm not necessarily worried about him leaving in a year or two, but also it'd be nice to kind of get Missi as a guy that can just kind of fill in just in case, like kind of break glass case of emergency and be your backup for the next few years. And then you can always make that transition if you need to, or if Ayton just is like the guy, right, and actually becomes everything that we want and need him to be, well, then you can always just trade Missi, right? Like, he's a guy that would have value. There's going to be teams that are like, hey man, he's really good still, right? So I think you'd be in good shape in that regard. But yeah, so like but ideally, again, I'd prefer them not to trade for a backup center and just go get a clear cut, like just again, Al Horford or something, just a serviceable backup center. Somebody that, although I think Al Horford is much more than a serviceable backup center, but point being is like, just go get that backup center. And then I think you could go look to, a team like, a team like Miami for, an Andrew Wiggins or something like that. Kind of just go get the perimeter help. Go get the perimeter defense. That's what I would be looking for the Lakers to do. But we'll see. We'll see how they end up kind of rounding out this roster, what they finish. I mean, obviously, if you do some trades, they can free up some roster spots, so on and so forth. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.